Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vikhari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vikhari.
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana.
Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vikhari.
Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Ganga Vikagiri Dari Ganga Vikagiri Dari Radhe.
Gandharika Giridhari, Gandharika Giridhari Radhe.
Jaya Giri Raja Jaya Govardhana. Giri Raja Jaya Govardhana.
Jaya Giriraja, Jaya Govardhana. Giriraja, Jaya Govardhana.
Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada.
Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva.
Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhari Giridhari Radhika Raman Giriju Ki Jai Ho Om Agana Timarandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshu and Militamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Namo Maha Vandanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gora Devashe Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'd like to offer my heartfelt Pushpanjali to the lotus feet of my Harinam Diksha Guru, our Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. Second of all, to my Gurudev, our Gurudev, and all of our Gurudevs, especially for me, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, to Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, and to our entire Guru Parampara, especially to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and his Madhurya Kadambini. So today, amazingly enough, we will finish shower 4. Because shower 4, 5, and 6 are very short. And shower 7 and 8 are quite long. But to speak of shower 3, I think was the longest. Either 3 and 8 are very long. So this shower 4, Nistha, which has to do with steady bhakti. We did half of it last week. And we talked about, we were still actually talking about Anartha Nivritti. But we were talking about it in this chapter because we were talking about the 5 persistent obstacles before one actually attains Nistha. And we learned that these 5 persistent obstacles, if we have them, we don't have Nistha. That's a sure sign we don't have Nistha. And what were they? They were laya, which is sleep. When we're chanting, when we're hearing Harikatha, the tendency to sleep. Even if we've had enough sleep, we just have the tendency to sleep. This is an anartha that we shouldn't think that, oh, I'm so horrible, I'm the only one that has this. No, actually, everyone that doesn't have Nishtita Bhakti, that doesn't have steady Bhakti, they have this. Some may be better at hiding it, or, or just maybe at that moment they don't have it, but everybody has it to a certain extent. We're not alone. There's so many, excuse me, the sadhak, the aspiring sadhak, when he's practicing sadhan bhajan, he goes through these stages. Everybody goes through these stages unless one is free from offenses and he goes, holy name prem. We talked about that. He has no offenses, so like Ajamil, he could just chant and very shortly he could attain prem. But for most of us who still have some residue of offenses, or we're committing offenses still, then we have to go through the process, as given in the Srimad Bhagavatam and by Rupa Goswami. Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, and now we've come to Nistha. And then there's Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhav, Prem. So, we're not alone. We should never think, oh, I'm the most fallen. I'm so horrible. I'm so this. For one thing, that's really not thinking about Krishna. It's only thinking about ourselves. It's me. It's another form of sense gratification, just wallowing in our own misery. That's a waste of time. It's a complete waste of time. It's a trick of Maya. And Prabhupada would always say, you're not the worst of anything. Really, you're not. You're not the most fallen, you're not the most anything. You're just another spirit soul like everybody else. So in Nistha, these 5 persistent obstacles are there. What was it? Sleep, the tendency to fall asleep. When Harikatha, when Kirtan's coming, when we're chanting our japa, that tendency to sleep. Number 2 was vikshep. That was mundane memories are coming while we're chanting, while we're chanting, either while we're chanting alone, or we might be chanting and wandering around, running into someone and start talking all kinds of unnecessary talk while we're still chanting. Did you hear about what happened over there? This so-and-so did this and that and this and that. To be carried away by these mundane memories and thoughts and like this while we're chanting japa or while we're hearing Harikatha. Number 3 was apratipatti. And that was, even though you're not really feeling sleepy, you're not having mundane thoughts come, what's the problem? We simply can't do it. We don't have the energy. We don't have the desire. We just can't chant. We just can't. We just kind of like, enter the ozone. It's just like, you just can't do it. Or you just can't hear Harikatha. You try so hard, but you just can't. So then usually that leads back into vikshepa, just wandering off into the mind in mundane unreality. Let's put it that way, like this. And then the 4th one was kashai. That was past bad habits coming out. And that was, the example was, just for nothing, one gets angry. For nothing, somebody gets angry at something. This is, or for, what was another example? You just get angry. Oh, you get greedy, you get lusty, just for nothing. These are just past samskars that have come up, It's just, this just is part of the process. You can't help it. You just happen to be walking along, you're trying to be so creative, and all of a sudden, somebody goes by on their motorcycle and they're playing some music on the thing, and it was something that you really liked, and it's like, there goes the Beatles. That's because I've been out of it, so I don't know who's lately, but, oh, wow, oh, there we go. Here comes the sun, It's like, oh, that's nice. It's just out of anywhere, like this. And then we forget about our japa. Or our harikatha, like that. Especially anger can come so easily, So we should be very, very careful with this. Not get too disturbed by it, or get too disturbed if someone else is having this problem either. Because it's just part of anisita, unsteady bhakti. We can't help it. And the thing of it is, we can't really imitate a higher level. If we try, we will fall down. If we try and imitate being someone in bhav, or someone having prem, and we have no disturbances, sooner or later, all these things will come. Because either you have it, or you don't have it. And if you don't have it, you still have all these tendencies in the heart. And they can't be just hidden forever. Not possible. They will come out. So better to just accept, this is the stage I'm at, and when they do come out, then to pray. Pray to Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas. Please help me. Please, cleanse my heart. Please, Krishna, you're there. Please, I don't want to have these unwanted habits. I don't want to have all these emotions. I want bhakti. Please, manifest my potential bhakti that's there, please. Like this, please forgive my offenses, like this. And then the last obstacle was rasasvada, and that is the tendency towards mundane sense gratification when there's an opportunity for bhakti. Like there's an opportunity to hear Harikatha from a pure devotee in Vrindavan. And what do you choose? You choose to go to, and it might even be something that's quasi-spiritual, but it's not like the Harikatha coming from a pure devotee. There's nothing more topmost. And this is Shabda Brahm, descending. You said, oh, well, actually, this really amazing group of Brajbasis are putting on a Leela in Shringarbad, Ras Leela. So, yes, I really want to go. I'm going to go over to the Ras Leela, and maybe I can get a recording of the Harikatha and like this. Even we've been told, even to go on Vrindavan Parikrama or Govardhan Parikrama, when you can hear Harikatha from a pure devotee, no. Hearing Harikatha from a pure devotee is topmost and always number one. Like this. This sadhu sangha is topmost. So if we don't control ourselves and make that choice, then we've fallen into this rasasvada, which is a persistent obstacle, of towards attaining Nistha and attaining ultimately bhav and prem. We have to choose with our intelligence. See, at all these stages, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Nartana Vritti, Nistha, we have to use our intelligence that's been given to us by Guru and Sadhus and Shastra. Not our mundane intelligence, but our spiritual intelligence. We have to use it. In the stage of Ruchi, then more there's a taste. Then you can follow more taste. But until then, we have to use our spiritual intelligence. Must be like this, or else we will have a big problem. We will choose things that are not favorable to bhakti, like this. So we'll choose this sense gratification. It may even be quasi-spiritual. It's not as bad as going to a pub and getting drunk in England or something, no. Going to a Ras Leela put on at Shringar Bhat is a lot better than going to the pub and getting drunk in England, no doubt. But still, Krishna's watching, Guru is watching, Sadhu is watching. This is what we have to start to understand. We have come, hopefully, to Sadhu Sangha. Most of us are initiated, or at least desiring to be initiated, or at least we've taken shelter of the Rupanuga Guru Varg. So we have some Shiksha Guru at least. They're always with us. They're watching us. They're trying to train us, and they're testing us, and they're seeing how is she. I'm giving a lesson. How is she going to practice it? They're watching. It's not like, oh no, they're in the spiritual world and they don't see anything. They don't know anything. No, they're right with us. Not only that, Krishna's with us. Super Soul's there. He's Chaitya Guru. He sees everything. And for the materialists, of course, he's seeing the good and the bad and giving the karma like this, neutrally. But for those who have come to the path of bhakti, he's not, he's seeing, he's trying to help. He's Chaitya Guru. And when one is very sincere, the Shastra says, what happens? Chaitya Guru comes out before us as Shri Guru, right before us. So then we have Chaitya Guru and we have Shakshat Guru in front of us because we need that, because we're conditioned souls. So Shri Guru walks into our life. We're so fortunate. And Shri Guru never walks out of our life. We may think, okay, now he's gotten on a plane and he went over to Italy, or he got on a plane and he went to America, and here I am in Vrindavan. No. He is like Krishna. He is everywhere. He's in the heart of every single disciple. Every single, and any spirit soul who accepts him. He's actually there even if they don't, because he's there with Krishna. He's an eternal associate of Krishna. You see? Our gurus are gurus for everyone, actually. Really. And it's whether we accept, whether we make that bond of friendship with them, actually. Whether we accept them as our best friend, our bosom friend who's trying to help us like this. And we take their instructions to heart because they know, actually, he wants to manifest who I really am. He wants to get rid of this. It's like the example of the person in the car. Yeah, you have a car, and we're not the car. So our material body is the car, right? And we're the spirit soul, right? This is so everybody knows this. And you've got a car that's like, in America we would call them jalopies. They're like all broken and down, they're like a really weird car, Or else you have somebody in a Rolls Royce or this or that. But we are the person inside that car. So we're the spirit soul in the body. So the Guru has come to manifest us, to get rid of this body, the jalopy or the Rolls Royce or whatever it is that we're identifying as. He's helping us become a spirit soul, not become, it's hard to put into English, awaken our spiritual, because we have never been in the spirit. It's not like we're going back to the spiritual world. We're going there for the first time. But we are a spiritual part and parcel of Krishna, coming from Tatastha Shakti. So he's trying to awaken our actual identity in relation to A personal relationship with Krishna. Our personal ras with Krishna. Whether it's Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. He wants to awaken that. He wants us to become who we really are and not have to suffer anymore. Because everything in the material world is actually suffering. Even happiness in the material world is suffering. There is no happiness here. It's a perverted reflection. So Guru is his only desire is to help us just, come out of that suffering and go, as they say, back home, back to Godhead. That's Krishna's desire, that's Sri Guru's desire. So what is the most important process that he gives us? This is the bhajana kriya. Harinam, 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 eva kevalam. This is the process of bhakti yoga. Harinam. So in the Madhurya Kadambini, in this chapter of Nistha, what Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur starts talking about now, after having told us the 5 persistent obstacles that if we don't have Nistha, then he starts to describe what is Nistha. And there's 2 types of Nistha. I'm not sure I'll get the Sanskrit right, so let me look. One is Shakshad, what is it? How's it go? I tried to memorize it. It's Shakshad Bhakti Vartini Nistha. Shakshad Bhakti Vartini Nistha. That means that one has faith, unflinching faith, undisturbed faith in the practices of bhakti. That's hearing, chanting, remembering, the 9 limbs of bhakti, right? He has faith in that. Now the other kind of nistha is called, where is it here? Tad Anukula Vastu Nistha. Tad Anukul Vastu Vishaya. See, in the Madhurya Kadambinis, they say it in 2 ways. Shakshad Bhakti Vishayani, Tad Anukula Vastu Vishayani, or they use Shakshad Bhakti Vartini Nistha, and they actually mean the same thing. There's an editor's note saying whether they say Vartini or Vishani. Vishani? Is it? Yeah, it's Vishayani. It means the same. Doesn't matter. The Sanskrit actually is the same. It's in Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur uses one way, and the commentators say the other. But it means the same. But the point is, the 2 kinds of nistha are nistha in the process of bhakti itself, the 9 limbs of bhakti, or in the qualities that are actually required for bhakti, like humility, tolerance, gratefulness, these having nistha in these qualities, you see. And it's very interesting. It's kind of a very deep subject matter, because some persons think that having nistha in these qualities is what we say is nistha, is actually nistha. But it's not actually. Nistha itself really is having complete unflinching faith in hearing, chanting, and remembering, in the process of bhakti itself. And these qualities, actually, if one is doing that, they will ultimately naturally come. But it can be seen that a person who has very tolerant and offering respects and all this, but he really doesn't have nistha in chanting or hearing. Not so much. You see? Not really. But he has nistha in these things, and he thinks that someone that has these qualities is so elevated. But external. But the person may not actually have faith in chanting and hearing. You see, he may be this kind of person who has all these wonderful qualities, but he's going off to see the Ras Leela or off to do Parikrama when the pure devotee is giving Hari Katha. You see, like this. He may have all these wonderful qualities. And these qualities are good, and that's good. But real nistha means you have nistha in the process itself, and that the qualities will come naturally. You see what I mean? And we may see a person who has Nistha in chanting, and he's beginning, but he has Nistha in chanting, but he's arrogant. May not have the best of qualities always, but he has Nistha in the process. You see? That's interesting. Very interesting. So now we're coming down into, let's see here. So in the Nistha, in the process of bhakti, we have 3 types. Srila Vishwanath Thakur is talking about 3 types of Nistha in bhakti. And that's it, the Nistha in what's called Kayika Nishti. I might not say it right. That's in the activities that are performed by the body. You're hearing, you're chanting, you're circumambulating Tulsi, you're going on parikrama of Tulsi or of Vrindavan, you're cooking for the Thakurji, anything done with the body. This is called Kayiki Nistha. Then there's Vachiki Nistha. That is related to your speech, isn't it? Speech. And that, speech. And that has to do with kirtan. Either singing kirtan or praying out loud. Out loud praying, So it's usually kirtan too. Chanting, reciting verses, prayers, all these things. Giving harikatha, like this. Then we have manasi nistha. That's related to the mind. That's remembering, isn't it? Remembering all the pastimes, the name, forms, contemplating, remembering. That's manasi nistha. So we have faith in this, especially hearing, chanting, and remembering. Now it's interesting because some people think that that it's a process, and it's a fixed process. First, it will come nistha in the bodily activities of bhakti, or the kayiki, and then it will come the speech, vachiki. What is a vachiki? And then manasi. But actually, that's not true, because different persons, we're all individuals, right? And the bodily activities kind of depend on how much endurance or strength the body has, right? And of speech, they say it depends on how eloquent you can either sing or speak like this, you see? And in the mind, it depends on, what was that? It was, the mind was, what is it? Yes. Steadiness. That's it. For the mind, it was steadiness. Yeah, so you might be able to be steady in the mind, okay? Actually, they all go together, you might have mental strength, you might say, just like bodily strength. This is just how they're saying here, but you can say, we try and understand. Someone may have more mental strength or endurance, you might say, or steadiness in the mind than they can with their body, because their body is maybe very weak, like this, and someone may not be able to speak or sing very well, and so therefore they're very shy, like this. So it depends on the individual, how this process actually comes. Of course, eventually, when we get to higher stages, then the person isn't attached to how well he can speak or how much endurance his body has or his mind, because it's all descending. In Bhav, it all descends. Here, it's more depending on the ascetic body that we have. We have a ascetic body now, and we're trying to use this ascetic body in the service of Krishna, Guru and Krishna. And some persons just naturally, let's say even they're deformed. And some people are deaf. Some people are blind. Some people are dumb, they can't speak. This doesn't matter, but that may affect which limb of bhakti that they can perform better than another limb. And so they might have more faith in that. You see? Very interesting, actually, very interesting. We shouldn't try and put all the sadhaks in a box. They have to be like this, or else you're not a sadhak, or you're a weird sadhak. It's like, no, we're all individuals. And we shouldn't also compare ourselves to someone else. We should never do that. And we shouldn't judge and analyze other persons. This is a waste of time and a trick of Maya. We cannot ever see the bhakti in someone else's heart. We cannot, and we cannot really see the steadiness in someone else's heart either, or mind. This is Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas. They can see all this. We should just worry about our own self, try and inspire others in a non-envious way, but we should try and ourselves become steady with our body, the kaiki activities, the bodily activities of bhakti. Become steady in the speech, vachiki, and in the manasi. We should become steady in these things, like that. And the qualities will naturally come. But Srila Vishwanath Thakur does speak about this section of Tan Anukul Vastu Vasini Nishta, which means fixed determination related to qualities that are favorable to bhakti. And it's quite interesting, actually, because these qualities will naturally come when we actually have bhakti. And first of all, he speaks about humility, and humility, as we actually talked about before, from Jaiva Dharma. Humility is one of the 4 intrinsic characteristics of bhakti. That means it's naturally a part. You don't have to. If you're practicing bhakti, it will be there. That's what intrinsic means. So if we've come to steady bhakti, this quality will be there. We won't have to try and just be doing it on our own, you see, and forgetting the hearing and chanting, the actual process. We should understand by doing the process of bhakti, this will automatically come. It just will. It will come. And if it isn't coming, then we should pray, oh Krishna, please manifest this quality, because actually it's in my soul. May bhakti manifest with all of her glories, all of her beauty. And part of the beauty is humility. And humility is really the life of bhakti, isn't it? Humility is the life. We hear from all of our acharyas that humility and prem are side by side. Without humility, you have no prem. Without prem, you have no humility, really. So right now, some humility will start to manifest. You see, we can't expect to have, pure humility at this. How can we? We don't have prem. It's not possible. But the humility at this point in Nishta will become more steady. It will come out. And what's very interesting is that in relationship to this Madhurya Kadambini and these stages of bhakti, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written 2 books that are very helpful in supporting and nourishing this Madhurya Kadambini. One is his Shikshashtakam, and one is Bhajan Rahasya. And he takes the Shikshashtakam verses, Chaito Darpanam Marjanam, Nam Namakari Bahuna, and he takes all of them and he puts them with Shraddha, with the process of bhakti. So in Shraddha you have Chaito Darpanam Marjanam, in Sadhu Sangha you have Nam Namakari Bahuda, and in Nishta we have Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarodapi Suhisnuna, Manina, Manadena, Kirtaniya Siddhahari. So when one is coming to this stage, then these qualities will begin to manifest, you see? They won't be pure, they won't be complete. How could they be? We don't have prem. But they will manifest to enough of an extent that we'll be able to chant with steadiness. You see, the chanting will come. So these qualities will come like this, but it comes from the chanting. It comes from the surrender to Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas, who will cleanse our heart. And by cleansing our heart, then we will naturally feel ourselves very fallen. Because we'll hear the Harikatha of Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas, and we'll hear, well, you're a pure spirit soul, but you've been covered by Maya since time immemorial, done everything. You're very fallen, and we'll believe him. So then some humility will come. Oh, well, actually. And we can even take a look at our past in this life. How have we been in this life? Have we been a bit arrogant? Have we thought that, have we always, just like the example is, we're big, right? In comparison, from our view, we're a big living entity in this room, right? But there's a lot of living entities in this room, like little ants. But we're so proud and arrogant that we don't even think they're important. What to speak of looking around trying to not step on them. But you have in the Bhagavatam, like I've talked about before, Yad Bharat, who he was not carrying the palanquin right because he didn't want to step on the ants because he was a pure devotee. Little by little, though, we'll awaken to the fact that, well, actually that little ant is actually my friend. He's a spirit soul. He's here in Vrindavan. Maybe he's trying to get on the altar and see Krishna. The attitude changes. I know on my altar here, I used to freak out. I'm just being honest. When there were ants on my altar, I would just, I'd get out the Lakshman Rekha and try, no, they're not allowed to be on the altar, No way. They're just, but now I see, well, they're not anymore. I'm not any more important than they are, really. And if they're trying to come and do some service, how do I know? Hare Krishna. They're not really allowed to get in the boga. They have to learn where they can go, where they can't go. But, really, after a while, one starts to wake up to the fact that, I'm not the most important person around. A little humility starts to come. And this is good, But still, the Nistha should be in the hearing and chanting. And we can have Nistha in these qualities, but that isn't really the indication that we've attained Nistha. No. And when we've attained Nistha is when our hearing and chanting, our sadhana bhajan is uninterrupted. Not interrupted. And we've talked about all the 5 ways we get interrupted, right? So then another quality is compassion and forgiveness, like this. These qualities naturally are there in bhakti. Naturally. Compassion and forgiveness. Humility comes from no material attachments, no desire for sense gratification. And compassion and forgiveness come when we don't have envy. No envy. Like this, And this helps nourish our bhakti in that it helps clears the obstacles and helps bhakti become firmly fixed in our heart. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, actually it's the commentator, which I think is Srila Gurudev. He says, how can we pray to Krishna to forgive us if we don't forgive others? It's simply duplicitous if we do that. If we do not forgive others, we cannot beg for forgiveness ourselves. It's simply duplicitous. And Krishna will never forgive us if we don't have compassion and forgiveness in our own being. So this will start to come, more compassion, more forgiveness. And this is a very deep subject matter that some devotees, they really have a difficult time with. Because let's say you have offenders to our own guru, right? Out and out offenders to the guru. Now, of course, we should try and defeat them. We should have nothing to do with them, like this. We should try and preach the absolute truth, like this. But deep down in, it should be from a mood of compassion for the spirit soul that is in that body who is an offender. Because this spirit soul will not be able to awaken for so long. Will not have the opportunity to have the association of Guru and Vaishnavas due to the offenses. So we should feel compassion for that spirit soul that's covered by so much offense, you see? Like this. And we should pray that they can become free from this offensive mentality and come to the absolute truth. Come to understanding who Sri Guru actually is, who Sri Krishna actually is. Like this. Compassion and forgiveness. Softness of heart. Bhakti does not rest in a hard heart. Bhakti only rests and comes to rest and be in a soft heart. But we don't tolerate offenses. We don't associate. We try and, defeat them if we can, if they're saying offensive things. But with compassion. With compassion. Because we've probably been offenders in our past lives. And somehow or other we've been forgiven. Someone's had compassion on us, and now we're coming back. We're being given another chance to practice bhakti. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says the most important quality. The most important quality, what is that? Gratitude. Gratitude. Bhakti will never enter a heart that isn't grateful. And a hard heart without gratitude never will come. Like this. And he makes a point that gratitude, even Krishna is very grateful. And the example is given that Krishna is grateful to a person who even offers him just a little bit of water with a tulsi leaf. He's so grateful, he accepts. What to speak of in the example that's given is Putana. Putana, an evil witch, a sorceress, came to kill him. But she disguised herself as the mother, right? Very beautiful. Got by Mother Yashoda, Rohini, everybody. And she came, and she tried to poison Krishna. What did he do? He sucked out her life air, sucked out everything. And because she came and fed him like a mother and came even as disguised, she was duplicitous. Still, he accepted her. He purified her and sent her to Golok, and she got to be a nursemaid in Golok. Who could be more grateful? Who could be more compassionate and forgiving? There's a nice story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, about this particular quality of Krishna. You may have heard of the great devotee Pundarik Vijayanidhi. He is actually Radharani's father, Maharaj Vrishabhanu, but he comes in Chaitanya Leela's Pundarik Vijayanidhi. And in the pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's very interesting because he's very opulent. Most of Mahaprabhu's associates are very renounced, very simple, but he's not. He's very opulent with all these luxurious clothes and hair and everything and prasad, and he's so luxurious. But he has a friend, Mukunda Dat, and Mukunda Dat actually knows what a great devotee he is. So Mukunda Dat was explaining to Gadadhar Pandit, who is actually Radharani, of course, about Pundarik Vijayanidhi. And so Gadadhar Pandit wants to meet Pundarik Vijayanidhi. And so they go there, and when Gadadhar Pandit, this is Leela, of course, sees the opulence of Pundarik Vijayanidhi, some little doubt comes in the heart. Wait a minute, Haribol. And so Mukunda Dat understands, can understand this. So he starts chanting the verse. I'm sorry, I don't know the whole verse, but it goes, Aho Bakiya. And it's talking about how I don't know anyone so merciful as Krishna. It's from the Bhagavatam. He's so merciful because what he's done for Putana. When Pundarik Vijayanidhi hears this, and Mukunda Dat was one of the top singers, he was amazing. So he was singing this verse. Pundarik Vijayanidhi, because he's premi, not just body, he's prem, full of prem. He's Vrishabhanu Maharaj. He immediately goes into prem ecstasy. Immediately. And he starts ripping his clothes and ripping his hair and rolling on the ground in complete ecstasy. Bashing everything, everything's a complete mess and in pieces and everything. Just hearing this verse, he exhibits, the transformations of prem. When Gadadhar Pandit sees this, I think I've committed an offense here. So he becomes a disciple of Pundarik Vijayaniti, like this. So very amazing, isn't it? Very amazing. It's a very subtle process, actually. We have to be very, very careful. But we should be grateful in so many ways. Grateful to Sri Guru. Without Sri Guru, where would we be? Even those who are born in a Vaishnava family, without Sri Guru, they may have wandered off into the material world, right? And for those of us who are born in the material world, we would still be wallowing in the material world, wouldn't we? I was a worm in stool myself, pig in the gutter, Haribol, a dancing monkey, Hare Krishna. And I would still be that on my way to hell. But Sri Guru. And so really the process of Nistha, of Bhakti, Trinadapi Sunichena, and this gratefulness is centered on Sri Guru. Sri Guru, our service to Sri Guru. And him making his instructions our life and soul. So Sri Guru at our stage has given us what? Trinadapi Sunichena. Has said, chant Hare Krishna. Please chant Hare Krishna. And now, since you've been some time, the process is chant with humility. Chant with compassion and forgiveness. Chant offering all respect to others, not wanting any respect. Like this. Please try and practice this way of chanting. These moods. And if you read Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhajan Rahasya, this chapter, there's so many prayers that pertain to how to have the proper mood to obtain Nistha, and when we have Nistha, to obtain Ruchi. This whole chapter, the third chapter, Bhajan Rahasya, will give you so many prayers from all the Vaishnavas of what is the mood of one in Nistha. It's very helpful. Same in his book, Shikshashtakam. So if one really wants to know how to practice bhakti at the level of Nistha, one should read this third chapter of Shikshashtakam and third chapter of Bhajan Rahasya. And of course, even Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamrita, it's the sixth verse. The sixth verse. That's when Srila Rupa Goswami is telling us, what is it? We may see in the bodies or the character of a pure devotee, we may see that they're ugly. Or we may see that they get angry sometimes. We may see that they seem like they're lethargic, they're just lazy. Or we may see, they're born in a low caste. But Srila Rupa Goswami says they are pure. They are pure, like the Ganges. There's bubbles and foams, but it's pure. So for the pure devotees, they do not have a material body. So what about us? How does that relate to us? It relates to us in that there's no material impediments to bhakti. So we shouldn't judge ourselves. We shouldn't be discouraged by the fact that maybe we have a deformed body or we have anger that still comes to these things. We should understand, I am a spirit soul. I should just practice bhakti steadily, and these things will just go. They're no more important than the foam and the bubbles in the Ganges. They're not impediments, actually, unless we let them be impediments. And when we're seeing another devotee, we should not ever, this is what I was saying, judge another devotee like this. These are just things that are going. This is an art and nivritti. It's purification. We're in the process of purification. We're in the process of sudden bhakti, hopefully coming to Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhav, Prem. So at this point, it's going to be, it's almost for sure that we'll see things that seem, Not unfair. Can't think of the right words. Things that aren't very likable in another person. That doesn't seem like it's very much conducive for bhakti, and that they must not have very much bhakti. You know what I mean? There's a word, but I can't think of it. Anyhow, we should not judge others by these externals. We should not judge ourselves And we should not be discouraged by these things in ourselves, and we should not see them in others. We have to focus on our practice of bhakti, our relationship with Sri Guru, our relationship with Sri Vaishnavas, and with Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Radha and Krishna. And at this point, we want to become steady so that then we can attain ruchi. You see, we need to become steady in our bhakti. So we must be praying, and we must be trying to practice these qualities. You know, for now, we have to use our intelligence. We have to use some force. This is Vaidhi Bhakti. We're not in Raganuga Bhakti yet. That comes way up in a high level. We're aspiring for it. And some things come more naturally than others. But still, we have sometimes these 5 persistent obstacles. So we want those to be minimized. Like we talked about last time, we may still have a little residue of the modes of passion, ignorance, lust, anger, greed. But when we actually come to this level of nishta, which is trinadapi, sunichena, steadiness in chanting, then these little residues will not be piercing our hearts. Remember, we talked about before this stage, our hearts being pierced. And we just can't hardly practice because it's just like, it's really tough. But at this stage in Nishta, they're in the background. They're harmless. Harmless. Because we're so fixed. We're steady in our chanting. We have faith in the chanting. And we have to use the intelligence. Because when you come to Ruchi, then you have taste. Then then it's actually real taste. But at our level, we have Nishta. We have faith in it. We want to practice. We know how important it is. Not only that, we want to do it for the pleasure of Sri Guru. We're grateful. He's asked us to do it. Oh my God, he saved me. So the least I can try and do it. He wants me to chant 24 hours a day. I wish I could chant while I'm sleeping. I can't yet. It's like, how are you going to, something. Gratitude's there then. So this is that stage of Nishta. Practicing these qualities, praying for the qualities, trying to be steady like this, trying to associate with those who are steady. Association is so important. And as we've talked about so many times, for those of us, sometimes we find ourselves without any external association of devotees. A person Bhagavad, or even a person Sadak. They aren't around so much, But actually, the pure devotees are always with us. This is a process of nishta in the mind of remembering the truth. Because the 4th intrinsic quality of bhakti, you had humility, compassion, forgiveness. What is it? Truth. Truth is there. What is the truth? The truth is I'm an eternal spirit soul. Krishna's eternal. I'm his part and parcel. The devotees is part and parcel. They're eternal. They're always, always with me. The truth of the matter is the spiritual world is real. The material world's an illusion. It's not real, really. It's just temporary, like this. And so actually, my guru's with me. Even Rupa Goswami's with me. I'm not so qualified. Maybe I'm at a little bit of a distance, but he's there. His books are here. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is here. Like this. And even if you're out there, let's say, we call it Timbuktu in America, in the middle of nowhere, and you think you're all by yourself, hopefully you have a few books with you, but even if you don't have that, you have your mind is with you. You can remember, what is it? Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Gandhara, Jai Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, Bhaktivedanta, Panchatattva, Sadguru, they are there. And they will help you. You have to turn to them. This is Nishta. Nishta is no more doubts. No more doubts. Oh, Rupa Goswami, please help me. Swarp Damodar, please help me. You see, immediately, Sadhu Sangha. They're there. That's what they want. They can liberate a whole universe. What to speak of us? They can help us. But I just sent out a quote today in my quotes list. It was Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. It's really nice, actually. He was saying, Mahaprabhu, maybe Nitai too, they embraced Jagai Madai, didn't they? They embrace them. And Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj is saying, I'm paraphrasing, he's saying, but we're as sinful as Jagai Madai. We're just as sinful. But is Mahaprabhu embracing us? He says, no. Why? Because we don't go to him. We're going the other way. We don't go to Mahaprabhu and give it all up. Jagai and Madai gave up everything. They went and they were embraced and they never fell down again. And they always were regretful. They always felt very fallen. And they were always serving the devotees and remorseful of everything that had happened. And they were pure. So when we finally turn to Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas, Nitai, Gaur like this, they will embrace us. You see? And then there's no looking back, right? But we still have our attachments, this is the problem. And one of the biggest attachments that we have is doubt. We doubt, actually, Krishna. We doubt the process. We doubt ourselves. We doubt the spiritual. Because we're so conditioned by the material. We have so much faith in the material energy. Because that's all we've known. Unless we're highly, if we were raised a devotee, then we're more fortunate. We don't, but still, we have faith in the material. More faith than in the spiritual energy. Amazing. That's our conditioning. Money. I have to have money. But the point is if we just chant Hare Krishna and preach, whatever we need will come. We don't have to think about making money. But we can't imitate that either. We cannot, especially if we're householders, then there's some, then you have, that's part of your seva. We have to be practical, but still, we should understand that whatever way of maintaining ourselves that's acceptable, we should okay, that's given by Guru and Krishna, I should just do it. And if it doesn't work out, what to do? Look at the life of Srila Prabhupada. He was a householder. It just didn't work out. Everything collapsed. It was always collapsing, all of his big projects and all of his big business and this. But he was always preaching. And eventually he just left it all. Yeah, he just left it all. Look what he did. He spread Krishna consciousness all over the world for the pleasure of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, the pleasure of Sachinandan Gaur Hari. Okay, time to just finish with this. He was 50-something, I think, You have to, So we have to understand that really the basic challenge that we have is to have faith in Guru and Vaishnavas and Krishna. I can tell you a story in my life. A few times Krishna's had to show me very, very vividly. I could give you two examples. And I think it was 2016. Here I am in India, and I was a foreigner, a U.S. citizen. You have to have a passport, a visa, and some money to be here. And I had just gone to America, and in those days, I had a visa from ISKCON, because I'm a Prabhupada disciple. And in those days, for some reason, because of some politics, they were giving us our visa extensions under consideration. That meant they could stop them at any time, whenever they want. Now, I've been doing this for years and never had a problem. Well, I came back from America in 2016, and as soon as I got here, I got a notice that I had to be out of the country in 10 days, that they had rejected my visa extension, even though they had accepted it. And I was thinking, oh my God. I was so tired. I thought, I'm not going back to America. There's no way I'm going back to America now. And in those days, or even now, if you're a foreigner here, you kind of know what's favorable and what isn't favorable, where you can go, what you can do. It's just in the ether. Everybody's always telling everybody, oh, you can go to Thailand now, it's good over there. Oh, you can go to the Philippines over there, that might work, So I didn't know what to do, so I decided to go to Nepal. And it was in the air that, no way, you're not going to get anything in Nepal. They're giving you 6 months tourist visa bus. That's all you'll get. thought, well, I'm just too tired. I'm going there. So I got my letter for a new visa, for a 5-year student visa, right? And I flew to Kathmandu. And I'm not the smartest cookie on the block. So anyhow, I go to the Indian embassy, and of course I get there too late. I didn't know that you have to line up at like 6 o'clock in the morning because the line's so long. So I get there at 9 o'clock in the morning or something, or 8. And there's this huge long line. I'm thinking, and I have my physical handicaps, right? And there's no way I'm going to be able to stand in that line. And I'll probably stand in it. By the time I get to the gate, it will close, because it closed at 12. No matter what, it closed. So I thought, oh my goodness. And I had talked to some girl, and she kind of told me what she had done. So I was looking around, and I found a door. I went in that door, and I found a man inside. And I think he was the head guy, I'm not sure. And I kind of told him my story, and he liked me. So he took me to the man behind the window, and he said, you have to help her, you have to give her what she wants. It was very interesting. So I had to wait 5 days. Everybody had to wait 5 days. And I go back in 5 days, and during those 5 days, believe me, all I was doing was praying. Praying to Prabhupada, praying to Gurudev, praying to Vrindadevi, praying to everybody, you know, pray. All I did was pray, because I knew it was like highly unlikely. So I come back to the window, and the man looks up and he says, you wanted a 6-month tourist visa, right? Here. And I went, you know I wanted a 5-year student visa. And he went, smiled, and I had gotten a 5-year student visa. I mean, I thought, if that is only Sri Guru, that is only Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas, really, and Radharani. There was no way. Nobody was getting them. I'll tell you one more story. This is very interesting. I have now become an Indian citizen because I didn't want to go through any more of these visa problems, right? So I started my process in 2020. And to become an Indian citizen, you have to speak one of the languages. I don't speak anything, 0. But Srila Gurudev had told me not to learn Hindi. So I felt a little protected. But one reason why I hadn't tried earlier is because how am I going to get it? Because I don't speak anything. And so, but I tried, you know. So I had 3 interviews. And a friend of mine had kind of given me a hint. So the first interview was here in the LIU officer came to see me in my room. And then the FRO officer, some days later, came to see me in my room. And then I went to Lucknow, which is the capital of UP, and saw the head guy there. And I did the same thing all 3 times. This is Srila Prabhupada. They said, so, Hindi? And I went, Aap kaisi hai? And then I said, but I like Sanskrit. And I started going, Munindra Vrindavana-vilasini Triloka Soka Harini. And I went on and on. And they're all each 3 at separate times are looking at me. And they went, well, that's really hard. Okay, that's enough. 3 times. And I got my citizenship quicker than any. I got it in 2 years. That is Prabhupada. That is Srila Gurudev. That is Radharani herself. Isn't it? You know, it's really amazing. And then when I got my citizenship, you have to finally get this this official paper from the district manager of your state. And so I had to see the district manager who was in Mathura. He's a nice fellow. That's after everything. You've gone through so much. So your final thing is seeing this man. And he's so busy. I had to, you know, I took 2 days. The first day didn't even show, you know. So I'm there, and I finally see him. He's quite a nice young man. And he asked me all about myself. And then he finally handed me the paper, right? With this, all you need is a signature on this paper, right? It's just this line, you know, Haribo. But that's what you need. And so when he handed me the paper, it was amazing. I felt like I'd been accepted, you know, by Vrindavan, by Radharani, by everybody. And so, of course, I started to cry. And it was really interesting. He came over, and he just put his hands on my shoulder like this, you know. And he looked at me and says, this is your home. You're home. Now you're home. Pretty amazing, huh? That, somehow or other, I just was fortunate enough to have faith in Prabhupada and in Srila Gurudev. And because there's so many devotees who are waiting 4 years, 5 years. They've applied way before me. They have not got their citizenship. The lawyer who helped me said, nobody's getting him now. You're so fortunate, you know. One just has to have the faith, you know. And then, of course, it's up to them if they want to do it like that. So anyhow, I just thought I'd share those two little stories with you. And I think we could stop now. And one thing is that we should understand that the what do you call it? The what's the word? The indication that one has nishta. That nishta is actually is nishta in the process of hearing and chanting, not in the qualities. We should understand the qualities will come, and we like this. But actual nishta is when we have nishta in the process of bhakti. Okay, and when the 5 persistent obstacles are pretty much gone. Okay, next week we will start ruchi, and we might even be able to do it in one day because it's really short. So next week we do ruchi. Jai.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
thing that I forgot. And the proof of the pudding and that is nishta in the process of bhakti is given by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Upadeshamrita when he gives us the essence of all advice. What does he say? He says, staying in Braj, being a follower of the residents of Braj, you have natural, spontaneous love for Krishna, being under guidance like this, what does one do? Hear, chant, remember. You practice the process of bhakti. That is the essence of all advice. He doesn't say, be humble, be great. He doesn't talk about the qualities, he talks about the process of bhakti. This is what we have to have faith in. Okay, Vanchakapachurvasa, Kripa Sindhu Vyedita, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo,